What's going on, y'all? I want to start this video playing a video from Malcolm X talking about liberals and just in general. So check that out, and then I'll get more into my ideas of what liberals are.
There are many whites who are trying to solve the problem, but you never see them going under the label of liberals. That white person that you see calling himself a liberal is the most dangerous thing in the entire Western Hemisphere. He's the most deceitful. He's like a fox. And a fox is always more dangerous in the forest than the wolf. You can see the wolf coming. You know what he's up to. But the fox will fool you. He comes at you with his mouth shaped in such a way that even though you see his teeth, you think he's smiling. You take him for a friend.
So how this video came about is from a video that I made yesterday about David Pakman and Destiny and about their audiences and just overall what they do and how they're kind of on the surface nefarious and on the surface kind of just narcissistic in general. And the thing that I noticed was in the comments, that video is doing pretty well. I mean, it's had like 250 views or something like that. And the thing that I noticed was the comments from the people in those videos, that crowd, I guess you would say defending those guys, but it wasn't an attack on them. It was more just my observation of how they make their content. And the response that I got from that group was, "Oh, I watched 15 minutes and this was pointless. Nobody watched this video." Like saying that in the comments, or this was pointless and this is stupid and like no accurate critique of. And what I realized is they are the most aggressive and just confrontational group that we have in America right now. And it's actually kind of scary because they're actually the group with the resources as well. I'm going to explain. It's a very different, it's a spectrum of liberal to me. And I used to have more liberal, I guess, tendencies in general. Growing up, I grew up in a city, so that's usually how that works when you grow up in a city. But the thing I really noticed, especially with white liberals, and specifically with white liberals, black liberals that are college educated, all of this same stuff can apply to. And the college education on the black side, I think it's a college education on the white side too, because I don't know too many non-college educated white individuals that I know, and I've been all around the country, lived in small towns, lived in major cities that are extremely liberal if they didn't go to college. I mean, they're kind of, liberals are kind of stuck in that college victim mindset. It's two groups. So I wrote down notes. So if y'all see me looking down, it's for the notes. It's a group. The group one, I would say, genuinely does care about other humans. You know what I mean? Like, and then they're actively interfacing with the world, working to make it a better place. So these would be your nurses, your social workers. Me being a case manager most of my life, most of my adult life, it's a lot of white women that I work, mostly white women that I work with. And it's some with good intentions, some with bad intentions, some there, but none of us are there for the paycheck because the paycheck isn't that good. And in reality, the paycheck is not great. Comparative to the other things that we could be doing with those same skills, with that same skill set. You could just go to business or finance, or easily with the skill set that you have of being able to interact with multiple different groups of people. And this is the group that I genuinely applaud and I genuinely love because they were raised in a place where they had more material and maybe a different way of living, but they don't see themselves as better than the people that they serve. They may see the situation that they came up as different, but they don't see themselves as actually better than those people. And then but the thing I noticed is like when it gets down to crunch time, even that group does hold some beliefs of the second group, not the hostility. That's probably the best thing I say. It was a hostility of those comments. Like, why do you care so much about what I think or what I'm talking about that you feel the need to comment on my stuff negatively to make you feel better? Like, I don't understand what it does for that group of Destiny, and it's Destiny's crew and David Packman, and it's that liberal crew of this black man doesn't know what he's talking about. And it's always it's put in racial terms every single time, which confuses me because it's the group that says that they're not racist, but every single topic involves race, and it's really class is what they're trying to avoid. So the group two is the Destiny crowd, like I said, and is they're actually projecting their inner world on the internet. They truly believe that. Like I saw, it was one of Doc Rich's videos that I watched today. I was trying to find who the YouTuber was, but he said I was born of privilege. I was a white male, Marine. I'm like, what do you mean? Like what do you mean? What do you mean you were born of privilege? That's a racist thing to say, or very prejudiced, at the minimum prejudiced thing to say. Like, just because you were born in a different zip code, you have more opportunities maybe, but I wouldn't never necessarily call that privilege, because at the end of the day, anything that any of y'all could do, I've done. Like, that's why I say to people, like, bro, I'm born and raised in one of the poorest zip codes in America. Like, and I've played college football, was a college football coach, have worked at high level academia, did social, like anything that I've pretty much wanted to do, I've done. I've became a musician, traveled the world performing. Like, so what are you saying? And I don't think I'm no different than people. I'm still living. Like, no, I don't think I'm no different than the people in the neighborhood that I grew up in. I still know them. I still talk to them. So I don't think I'm an elite or privileged or I'm special. And so and it's often terms when you see white people, and I notice this a lot in academia, in my work in academia, they think that I was the special one out of the group. I'm like, no, man, I'm probably like mid-tier intelligence, mid-tier athleticism, mid-tier everything. Only difference with me is like I just work hard. It's my work ethic. That's the only thing that got me where I'm at, is my work ethic, and then some lucky breaks for sure, but the lucky breaks came from the work ethic. And that group of like Destiny followers and Destiny type, one, they don't want to leave a college mindset. I look at them as like, and I just left working at a university, right? As a program coordinator. And I look at them as the students that came from private schools but don't want anyone to know. So they dress down and they like, they try to act like, but they've never had actual struggles and they know it. So they project that onto the rest of the world as, oh, I have to be better because I haven't dealt with the things that other people have dealt with. And it's not necessarily that. It's just the luck of the draw. It's more so you just got lucky, bro, and just take your luck and run with it. Like, why is this? And it's a nihilistic view of the world that they have. Um, and they have been that group. I noticed it more in college. I went to a high school on the east side of Milwaukee where it was pretty diverse in racial demographics. You had your Asian crew, Hispanic crews, black kids, you had white kids, you had like you had the super, super wealthy white kids, but you also had the kind of blue collar white kids, and you kind of had the trailer trash white kids, and the same thing with the black kids like that. So every demographic also had different classes in between them, and this group of like, and they're not. I don't want to disrespect them and call them incels and stuff like that, because this is not what this video is about. It's it's a group that has been rejected by white culture because they are ashamed of the opportunities that they've had and the outcomes that they have now. And it's because of their own personal work ethic as to why they haven't achieved, but they're still better off than most just because of the luck of the draw that they had. And so I know some people will say, isn't that privilege? I don't believe that's privilege though, because it's if me and you walked into a job, I'm gonna get the job, and it's not because of DEI or nothing like that. It's because I'm gonna do more groundwork to get that job, and you don't want to do the work. And that's the part of this group of like they rather it's an easier life being on the internet. That's what this is the group that has the AI girlfriends. It's easier. Like it's a lot harder to get out here and actually talk to these females and chop it up and try to like get dates and go on dates, and it's harder to make a basketball team or make a soccer team or make a baseball team. It's hard work to do that stuff, and they never wanted to put that work in, so they made excuses of why that is something that they just didn't want because they couldn't they didn't want to do the work to actually get there. And it's another group that actually does the work, and they reject this group because they can see through it because they came from the same situations as them and they also did the work. That group has a completely different issue. Yeah, it's a more Republican group too. So I'm not just down in the liberals. Like that Republican group of like, I came from privilege and I did the work. Now all you need to be here where I'm at. That's a whole different conversation that I'll have one day on here. But this was sparked by the comments and just the response of that video. Just because I mentioned that like Destiny and them, they have no actual adult comment. They have no adult. It's not adult behavior. They act like teenagers. And like really, they're really privileged victims. So they look at like non-majority white individuals, and they think it's a gap in capacity and capability is the reason why that they haven't had the opportunities that they had, or they don't have and it's all material. It's all on material level. There's one thing I say that like I may not have been raised with the most material, um, like in that way, but the the more you typically the more material you have, and this is not a Christian Bible thumper thing, but it's a saying that a rich man has a better chance of getting through the pin of a needle than to make it to heaven. And what that's saying is like you have no connection to spirituality typically when you have the material. So people that have a good balance are usually the ones that do better because you need some negative experiences to actually understand and appreciate the positives. So, and that's the part where I want to get into them being shown as like, so let me make sure. Um, and it's shown how they approach DEI, and I saw this working in DEI too. That most of those people think that, and this was my main issue when I worked in DEI, and I was DEI coordinator for a state school university in Wisconsin. A lot of the people around the program, not saying, we had great people working in that program, but it was some individuals that didn't think the students that of color or LGBTQ or and it was a difference in how they saw the LGBTQ kids and the kids of color. And I noticed that because I had both. I was majority of my group, of my program, and I had 100 students in my program, 100 plus in my program. They think the students of color aren't capable or don't have the capacity to complete some of these things. So it needs to be ramps for them or special treatment for them because they don't have the capacity for it. Not that they don't may not have the experience in doing it. A lot of the people that are liberal think that minorities can't do this, and we need to help them have the white savior complex, which is one of the most dangerous things in the world to black kids, to be around people with the white savior complex, because that it's coming, and that's what critical race theory is. What all of this stuff is. It's coming from a point that, like, oh no, you're inferior. So if I'm inferior, that means you're superior, and that means what? Like, what does that mean? And in essence, those are the actual white supremacists. And they don't see it because it's through a lens of, no, I'm trying to help. If I was a white supremacist, I wouldn't be trying to help these people. That's not all the way true, because are you helping them with the intentions, or what is your reasoning for helping? Is it helping them because you think that they can't do, or is it helping because you genuinely want to help? That those are two very, very different things. And that's the thing, that's the part that, like, they don't understand, where it's actually Nazi behavior of saying, okay, like the Jews they're not, they don't have the capability or the capacity. So we have to do this for, like, it's the same mindset. It's just tilted to make you a hero. And it's just adjusted to make you feel better about yourself. Um, when the thing I noticed too, talking to and listening to the Destinies and the David Packmans, and talking to like liberals, especially at the college universities here. Madison is a very, very, very liberal university. Very, very liberal city too. A lot of them don't have a very good grasp on reality because they haven't really experienced anything outside of academics and their books and what they've like read. They don't really have a lot of life experience in the real world. That's not, in a confined environment or a contained environment. Like, the best way I say is they're house cats. They all they see is the food has been here. I get pets, and then I can go to sleep. They haven't been outside, and that lack of being outside is a lack of comprehension of what the world really is. You can tell. Like, I say this especially as a black man, and I've dated many, many white women, right? Black women too. Hispanics are kind of my wheelhouse typically. I really like Asian girls though. I like Asian culture a lot. But in white girl, you can tell white girls that have been outside for real, and then you could tell white girls that are house cats. Well, you can tell. Uh, the white girls that have been outside and experienced the world, you can't really get too much past them. Like, you can't really, like, you're not gonna play, you're not gonna run game on them because they done seen it. And you could tell that. And you can also tell that with white dudes too. Like, some my teammates that, especially in that, my biggest and closest like, I guess, experience with white population was college for sure. I went to a central Wisconsin state school, played football, played sports, kicked it, went out every night, like, was around everybody. We was all together. Like, it wasn't we didn't deal with racism up there. At least I didn't, and our crew didn't. So you could tell the white dudes that have had experiences outside of their small group, that have actually been in situations where they felt unsafe, or they felt not like they controlled the environment. And it was funny when a lot of them would come back to Milwaukee to party. You could tell the ones that have been in them situations because they was aware of what's going on. And then the ones that haven't been in that environment was just like, whatever, let's go, let's have, like. But the ones that have been in those type of environments knew, like, man, I can't be out here wilding out because some stuff could happen. You know what I mean? So it's a different kind of mindset that you notice partying. And partying, I say, is one of the ways to kind of get to the bottom of people's personalities. Because one, when they drunk, you can see we all drunk, the level is playing field is balanced now. Like it takes away a lot of those intricacies of personality and stuff and just kind of puts it on the table like, all right, we kicking it. And it's fair game. I'll say this, like, I remember it's a Hall of Fame coach. We had a coaching convention down in Nashville, right? And the coaching conventions, we all tried to, it's basically all of the GAs trying to go get jobs, right? So you trying to get to know the coaches. He's basically trying to chop it up with whatever coach can get you get you a good job. And the coach said something to me. He was like, I never hire any coach that can't go to a bar and walk up to a girl and get her number. And I'm like, why? You know, I'm one where I'm very inquisitive. I'm like, why would you say that? Why is that kind of your standard? He was like, because you got to be able to recruit. And he was like, if you can go do that, I trust you to go in these living rooms and then get these kids to come sign. And so he put me to test that night, and we ended up in a strip club in San Antonio or in Nashville. Or that was a San Antonio conference. Yeah, we ended up in a strip club in San Antonio with two girls that I met at the bar. I was like, hey, y'all, they try to go to the strip club. I went over there and talked to them at the bar. Cause you know, it's on the line. You got to get a job. Like GA, you got like 2 years and it's like, all right, I got to make this move. You got to get this full-time job. So it's certain intricacies you see when people are partying and drunk. So that's why I think it's a reason, it's a purpose for it. Cause you can really see people's personalities come out. Um, So yeah, most of the people that are in that liberal bubble online don't really have a real grasp of reality because they're house cats. They've never really been outside. I would put Kyle Kalinske in that category. I would put David Pakman in that category. I would put Destiny in that category. And on the inverse, I would say Anna Kasparian is one that has been outside, and you can tell. Jank is just kind of a grifter, but he's also aware enough to see, like, okay, these people on the left are crazy. He's just as much money he can make off his coming from a different angle, but you can see the ones on the left. Tim Pool's another one that you can see. I have lots of gripes with Tim Pool, but you can tell Tim Pool's been outside for real. And you can tell and one is reporting shows that he has, but you can tell he's been outside. He's been around a lot of different cultures, a lot of different people. Destiny in that group have never really been around a lot of different cultures, and you can tell they just been in their room on their computer. They're gamers. Like they're not. Like they shouldn't be. You shouldn't be a pundit. Like you can cite as much data as you want, but do you have any real world experience? The guy on the Luke guy on that was on Tim Pool's show when talking about January 6th, right? You can tell he is that to a T. He can cite data, but he doesn't know anything. So when you ask him a question, he can't answer it because he doesn't know anything. He just knows data. He's a computer nerd, and he's a gamer. So those people shouldn't be turned to as like sources of information because only thing that they're using, and I saw this so much in academia. They're just the only thing that they know is the things that they've read. They've never actually lived. They don't have any lived experience. And the lived experience is way more valuable than the reading experience, I believe, in the grand scheme of it. So I took some time. Oh, and then most of them think that non-whites aren't capable. And that's the whole thing behind DEI. That's why I got out. I almost went back, just being transparent. I tried to go back, but I tried to go back in a different capacity to where I like, okay, now I can approach this a little bit different and understand this a little bit different and explain to, the higher ups why I think what I think in this. Now that I had a chance to step back from it, ended up not working out, which is fine, but I understand how it could be harmful now. So just to be fair, I watched one of Destiny's streams and it was like one is just is ADHD central because I do have ADHD, and it's so much going on the screen. They're talking so fast, and it's like they're making dark jokes. Or like it was one thing where he was talking about locks of love, and they're like, yeah, maybe they trafficked the like they have such a dark view of the world, and it's a weird subculture that I don't really want to be a part of, but it's basically the weird kids from high school talking about topics from a viewpoint of I'm better and know better than you because they can't survive in the real actual world. I truly think that not saying being conservative is the way to go or the righteous way, but I think that version of liberal ideology or whatever you want to call it, because people forget that Hitler was a liberal. Like a lot of these people, like Stalin and them, it was communist. Like it's a lot of them believe in the same things, and it's just repackaged for a new group, like socialism and all of that. Like it's repackaged for a group and made to sound good academically, but they haven't seen what these things have done in practice. Um, and I just want to say to that Destiny crowd that was just commenting on negative on my stuff, like I don't dislike y'all. I won't comment back negatively. It's not that type of party. Like I don't see y'all as an enemy. I don't see y'all as friends necessarily, but I don't see y'all as enemies because like I don't really see y'all as the equivalent of anything that is based in reality. And I move based in what reality is because I've lived a lot of life at 35. I've been in a lot of places and spaces at 35 that most haven't. And I understand that. That's why I have a YouTube channel to talk about it. But I don't, the negative stuff doesn't really annoy me or get to me, but it worries me. It worries me for your own mental health. Of if that's how you are interfacing with the world, that's a dangerous, lonely life for you. All right, y'all, it's Kenny Cams. I'm out.